Hey, what's going on out there? Sean Devine, and today I've got a new video for y'all. It is the top 5 vocal mixing mistakes. I hear these all the time when people send me rough mixes or final mixes, and it's a very quick red flag that will tell you that someone doesn't know what they're doing when they're mixing. And if you're making these mistakes, it's okay. Don't panic. It's what this video is for. We're going to identify them, and I'm going to show you how to remedy these, and so you can keep these in the back of your mind when you are going through your vocal mixing process, and it's going to immediately impact the quality of your mixes and give you a more professional sound. So let's jump right in. Number 5 in the top 5 mixing mistakes is leaving too much noise in the vocal recording. Now, you're almost always going to have a little bit of background noise, either headphone bleed, or it could be some noise from your preamp, or just background noise. If you're recording in an apartment, you've got an air conditioning unit, something like that, there's always going to be a little bit of that going on. So for instance, in this recording, there's a little bit of noise happening in between whenever the vocal signal is coming in.
Could have stayed in this.
So it's a lot of things like headphone bleed. The room doesn't sound like it's really that big of a problem. A lot of you are probably dealing more with room ambience and room noise, and so you definitely want to get rid of that stuff. So I've done a couple other videos showing you how to take care of that, but there's 2 main ways that you can remedy that issue. And one would be you can actually go through and just silence all of those spots manually. Just go in there and just kind of get in between it like this, get your hands a little dirty, and mute all that stuff. Now, the reason why this is so important is because, one, obviously it just doesn't sound professional when you can hear all that stuff happening in the song. 2, when you're compressing a vocal, especially with hip hop, and you're heavily compressing a vocal sometimes, what happens is if your threshold is dropping down to a point that is pretty low in terms of the decibel level, you're going to bring up all of that noise and make it even louder. So it's going to be even more noticeable than it already was. So you want to definitely tame that stuff. Now, the other way you can do that is the method that I use more often, and that is just to use a noise gate. And so you'll just mess with this threshold to figure out when that will engage, and then we can just reduce it by 100 dB. And so what that means is that at any point that there's something below minus 50 dB, it's going to reduce that signal, and we're not going to be able to hear it. So it will take out that stuff automatically.
Could have stayed in the city, never took the chance to move out west. Took time from the bullshit, stop getting.
So that's probably the easiest way to do it, is using our noise gate. So let's move on. Number 4 in our list of most common vocal mixing mistakes is the overuse of delay. Now, delay you got to be really careful with, because it's a cool effect. You can make it enhance your stereo field and give it just a more interesting sound, especially in hip hop vocals. If you want to kind of liven up the verse a little bit, you can add a subtle delay. Now, a lot of times what I hear is people will have the delay going, and it's not a bad delay, it's just too loud. And what happens when you have a delay that's too loud is it becomes distracting, and it becomes a little bit monotonous and annoying to the listener. So you've got to be really careful that you don't overdo the delay effect. So let me go in here, and I'm going to show you what I have. I do have a delay on this particular verse. So let me play that back.
Could've died in an instance from a bullet hitting my chest. Could've stayed in the city, never took the chance to move out west. Took time from the bullshit, stop getting all of this stress. I'm pacing the waist.
So if you listen with the beat playing, it's not overpowering. The delay is not, it's not super upfront. It is a little bit louder delay than some of the other tracks I've done, but it's not really distracting, and that's the key. Now, if I turn that up though, we can very quickly get to the point where it's just too much.
Could've died in an instance from a bullet hitting my chest. Could've stayed in the city, never took the chance to move out west. Took time from the bullshit, stop getting all of this stress. I'm pacing and wasting away all the moments I could be out living my best. Feeling like a new life in my veins. Move up, people.
So you can hear very quickly, it's very easy to overdo that. So watch your use of delays. Make sure you're not distracting your listener from the main vocal. All right, the third most common vocal mixing mistake is removing too much low end. You have to be very careful about how much you roll off in your low frequencies. Now, there's kind of this idea out there that you should roll off as much lows as possible because you don't need them in a vocal. You know, you need to save room for the instrumentation, but you have to be really, really cautious about this, because what happens is if you remove too much, the vocal becomes really thin and digital and just not lively sounding at all. And it sounds very unprofessional. It's really obvious when you hear this. And I think the reason why this happens a lot is because people are mixing on, maybe budget headphones or smaller setups where you can't really hear a lot of the mids and lows that are actually happening. But it becomes very obvious on a little bit larger set of speakers that too much has come out of the low end of the vocal. So let me just play this back. And as I roll the lows up in the frequency and we cut off more, you'll see how quickly it will thin out the vocal.
Could've died in an instance from a bullet hitting my chest. Could've stayed in the city, never took the chance to move out west. Took time from the bullshit.
So right there, we were already getting kind of this telephone sort of effect, really boxy, just kind of nasally, and it's just not pleasant at all. So
could've died in an instance from a bullet hitting my chest. Could've stayed in the city, never took the chance to move out west. Took time from the.
So rather than rolling off too much in the low end, you can just do little cuts in problematic areas that you hear. Maybe in the 200 range, 500, like I've done here. But again, I'm not taking our low cut that high to make sure that we're saving some of that warmth and some of that thickness that we need to have in the vocal. Number 2 in our list of top 5 vocal mixing mistakes is over compressing the vocal. This is so common. I hear it all the time, and it's just not a pleasant sound, and it's very, very unprofessional. Again, and compression is tricky. I'm not saying this to say that I haven't made these same mistakes. Compression takes a long time to really get the hang of, and you may not even notice that you're doing this, but I'm going to show you the difference in a vocal that is compressed to be able to sit in the mix in the pocket with the beat versus one that's just been over compressed. Now, an over compressed vocal, there are songs out here that are doing it stylistically, and it's kind of a trendy sound, but you have to be really cautious about when you are going to do this, and you can hear when it's just being used the wrong way. So let me play back our little part of this verse with just the compression that I have on it.
Stop getting all of this stress. I'm pacing and wasting away all the moments I could be out living my best. Feeling like a new life in my veins. Move up, people thinking that you changed, but
so we've got a good balance between the vocal and the instrumental, and the compression is just helping that kind of glue happen between the music and the vocal. Now, I'm going to move over here to our compressor, and I want you to listen to what happens to the vocal as I move our threshold lower. So it's going to be compressing more of the quiet stuff, and I'm going to move our ratio higher. So we're going to be compressing it at a higher ratio. Now let me go ahead and also turn this, okay, so that's where it needs to be. So just listen to what this does.
Stop getting all of this stress. I'm pacing and wasting away all the moments I could be out living my best. Feeling like a new life in my veins.
So at this point, we're basically compressing everything, even the noise, all that stuff. Now it does make it a lot quieter. I'm going to turn that up so you can hear it.
Stop getting all of this stress. I'm pacing and wasting away all the moments I could be out.
Now let's move our ratio up.
Stop getting all of this stress. I'm pacing and wasting away all the moments I could be out living my best. Feeling like a new life in my veins. Move up, people thinking that you changed, but you really trying to better yourself. The world feel good, but you really want help. But people come around when you got it, always want to withdraw, never to deposit. Say that they ride for a nigga like me, but way back
That's an overcompressed vocal. So we're getting a little bit of distortion going on. It's making his breaths really loud, really obnoxious, and it's just not a good tone. So again, there's a time and a place that you may want to use a sound like this. Overcompression works really well with drums. It works really well if you're trying to get kind of a distorted tone out of something, but it's very clear when it's unintentional, and so you want to be very careful about that. All right, y'all, so the number one top vocal mixing mistake is very simple. It's very obvious, but I hear it all the time, and that is just making the vocal too loud. Now, a lot of you may be artists and you may be mixing your own songs, and so naturally the tendency is going to be to make your vocal loud, make it very clear, and also it may be that you're just not as comfortable using compression and EQ, and so you overcompensate using something like volume. But the goal and what I hope that you can accomplish from watching my videos and as well as just studying other mixing techniques is that you can use all these other processes to make sure that you're not having to use level to kind of overwork and overcompensate for something in the mix. So if you listen to your favorite songs out there, you're going to notice there's a really nice balance and kind of glue that's happening between the music and the vocals. They're not fighting, they are complementing each other. So you want to be conscious of this balance and make sure that the vocals sit in the pocket with the beat and vice versa. It's a very, very fine balance that you want to achieve there. Mixing is all about balance, highs and lows, and making sure that you are leveling things out properly. So again, for instance, right now, this is the mix as is.
People come around when you got it. Always wanna withdraw, never to deposit. Say that they ride for a nigga like me, but way back.
Now, what I normally get or what I normally hear from some of you out there is the instrumental will be sitting quite a bit lower, and our verse is going to be more like this.
People come around when you got it. Always wanna withdraw, never to deposit. Say that they ride for a nigga like me, but way back then you ain't never like me. Me thinking that we stupid though. Don't get lost in the fame in these groupies.
So if you listen, there's no balance, there's no groove there, and the vocal is just way too hot. So again, that may seem like an obvious thing, but you want to be conscious of the way you level the instrumental and the vocals. So anyways, y'all, that's our top 5 vocal mixing mistakes. I hope that you can just keep these in the back of your mind as you're going through your mixing process. I think that it's really going to help you out just to be conscious of these things and make sure that you are not falling into traps with these, and it's going to definitely elevate your professional mixing sound. So I hope this helps y'all. If you learn anything, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.